So I think it's unrealistic for somebody to think that I have 0 followers on any social media, and now I'm gonna do a crowdfunding and it's gonna be immediately successful. It seems that, almost all of the companies that are really successful already have, a pretty big following. What do you think about that?
I would push back a little bit on that. Like
Mhm.
Pirouette is a Y Combinator company that's kind of revolutionizing injections, and they raised 7.7 million on WeFunder. They did the 5 million Reg CF limit and then 2.7 million through Reg D as an oversubscription to that. And I think they had like 80 Twitter followers, maybe, so
Wow.
they're like an early stage, pre-FDA approval medical device company. They are not, they don't have a big audience. They're not consumer facing, and yet they raised 7.7 million on WeFunder. So obviously, if you have a big audience, then that helps, because you can now go to that audience and say, "Hey, thanks for being our customer," or "Thanks for being in a part of our like community. Would you like to invest in us?" And so that is a channel for how to like make the community round like go really well out the gate. So Substack, for example, they had millions of users when they did a WeFunder, the newsletter platform, and they raised $5 million in 24 hours, right? Easy. So yeah, if you have this huge audience that can really help you with the fundraising, it's just not a requirement. And we have a lot of, you might say boring companies, like big industrial companies, not that sexy.
B2B, yeah,
B2B,
not consumer facing,
they
right?
don't have a social media audience and they can still raise successfully on WeFunder. It's just going to
Mhm.
be a lot harder for them to do that.
Mhm. Interesting. So, but in any event, if you are in a business that does lend itself to social media, it sounds like it's worth building up your social media following ahead of the crowdfunding.
Yeah, I mean, I would say usually most consumer facing companies are pretty active on social media, but I think there's a nice alignment with like your kind of business objectives, right? Like consumer facing companies, they want to build an audience, they want to build a customer base, they want to build a
Mhm.
social media following. And if they're doing those things, then that now can have an added benefit, not just of like driving revenue for your business, but also driving investment capital that you can raise and like an alternative option for raising investment capital.
Yeah. So recently I interviewed a venture capital fund manager,
Mm,
and I was asking him about social media. And he said that one of the things they're looking at very closely is TikTok, and that they
mm,
use AI to go over TikTok and to discover new companies that already have a healthy following. And that's because all of the things that you have to do to build up followers on TikTok are the same sorts of things that you have to do to run a successful business.
right.
So, kind of like KPMG wants to hire people who were, also captain of the lacrosse team,
Mhm,
not just a business degree and straight A's, but they like these people who were athletes because they had to get up at 5 in the morning and go to
mhm.
a practice at 7 a.m. and yada yada, right? So I think they're looking at that and they're thinking, well, if you're smart enough to get thousands of followers on TikTok, then that those are the skills you're going to need to scale up your product.